Chapter 17, Minor, Diminished, and Augmented Triads. Back in Chapter 12, we constructed a major triad by combining the first, third, and fifth note of a major scale. We determined that the structure of the major triad involves a major third from the root tone to the chord third, a perfect fifth from the root tone to the chord fifth, and of course also a minor third from the chord tone third to the chord tone fifth, as shown here in the key of C. We also defined the primary chords in a major key as the tonic, subdominant, and dominant chords, the 1, 4, and 5, all of which are major in structure. Now, in order to build the primary chords in a minor key, we're going to need to define a new triadic structure, the minor triad. Now, a minor triad can be constructed by combining the first, third, and fifth note of a harmonic minor scale. Typically, we use the harmonic form of the minor scale when constructing harmonies in a minor key. The third scale degree in a minor key is a half step lower than that same scale degree of the parallel major key, and that is why we label it as flat 3 in this example. This is also why the structure of the minor triad includes the minor third interval from the root pitch to the chord tone third. This example shows all the intervals of the minor triad in C. Notice from the lowest note, the root, to the third is a minor third. Sometimes we call it a lowered third. And still, from the root tone to the fifth is a perfect fifth, just like the major triad. And with that knowledge, you should try Check Your Understanding 17.1. When building the primary chords in C minor, construct the triads above the tonic, subdominant, and dominant pitches, but make sure to use the key signature and the raised seventh scale degree of the C harmonic minor scale. Remember, harmonic minor scale for building harmonies in a minor key. Now, in a minor key, both the tonic and the subdominant triads will always be minor in quality. The dominant chord, however, because of the raised leading tone in the scale, the seventh note that's raised, is going to be major in quality, just as the dominant triad is major in quality in a major key. That raised leading tone in the dominant chord helps establish a stronger sense of tonality by providing a leading tone, B in this case, that is only one half step lower than the tonic pitch. And when we use Roman numeral designations, major triads are indicated by an uppercase Roman numeral and minor triads are indicated by a lowercase Roman numeral, as shown here. You should try Check Your Understanding 17.2, where you have to write the primary triads in the minor keys. Now, aside from major and minor triads, there are two additional triadic qualities that are in common usage: the augmented and the diminished triad. The diminished triad consists of a minor third above the root to the chord tone third and a minor third from the chord tone third to the fifth. The result is a diminished fifth between the root and the fifth. The structure is illustrated here. Now, as we learned in Chapter 11, a diminished interval is either a perfect or a minor interval that has been contracted a half step. And in this case, a perfect fifth interval from the C to the G, that's 7 half steps, has been contracted to the diminished fifth interval, C up to G flat, which is 6 half steps. You can see when comparing the C diminished triad to the C major triad that there really are two changes. The third of the chord is lower when compared to the major triad, and the fifth of the chord is a half step lower when compared to the major triad. Now, the augmented triad consists of a major third from the root tone to the chord tone third, and another major third from the chord tone third to the chord tone fifth. So that results in an augmented fifth from the root to the fifth. And that structure is illustrated here. As we learned in Chapter 11, an augmented interval is either a perfect or a major interval that has been expanded by a half step. And in this case, a perfect fifth interval from C to G, which is 7 half steps, has been expanded to the augmented fifth interval C up to G sharp, 8 half steps. Now, if you compare this augmented triad to a major triad, you'll see that it's pretty much the same except for that fifth. The fifth is half step higher than it would have been as a major triad. So here are the 4 main types of triads in this one chart. The common abbreviation symbols for each are also shown in the parentheses next to the structure names. So you can figure out these chords actually in 2 different ways. You can do them intervallically, as I described, by checking the interval between the first note, the tonic, and the third, and also the third and the fifth, and between the root and the fifth as well, by looking at the intervallic structure. You can also determine the structure of these chords by comparing them to the major triad, because in each case that will be consistent. Notice that the minor triad is similar to the major triad, except the third, the chord tone third, is a half step lower. And the diminished triad is similar to the major triad, except that the third and the fifth are a half step lower. Actually, the diminished is a little closer to the quality of the minor in that sense. And the augmented is similar to the major triad, except for the chord tone fifth. That's a half step higher than the major. And you can go ahead and check your understanding 17.3, where you have to write a few different types of triads.